All right then. Good morning. Oh, good afternoon. I know it's not a Thursday morning. I'm sorry, guys, but on Thursday morning, you see, I should be on a plane flying to New York to see my darling boy and to see my darling girl. So here we are. It is Tuesday afternoon. If you can't make this live, we'll let you know that we'll send you. In fact, if you go to Facebook, for all those people you know who can't make it live, who would like to see us, there's a link on Facebook. You can click on the link. All right then. So I don't know what we're going to talk about today. I've not even had a conversation with Carolyn about it today because I've been busy this morning. We'll tell you a little bit about that in a few minutes. First though, let's say good morning to my spirit guide Gregor, who is as always standing to my right side. We're going to say good morning. Oh, I'm into mornings. It's not afternoon.
I know.
Going to say good morning. Wait a minute. Good afternoon, Carolyn.
Good afternoon, Carolyn.
So Carolyn's sitting to my far right, and I'm all out of whack. I'm all out of, whatever it is, I'm all out of. I've had a busy few days getting ready to go to New York to see my family, obviously, as I already said. I've been cooking. I made a delicious custard. You know, we're at the point now with the cookbook where I'm having to redo things and remake things. So I made a delicious custard just because I needed to make sure it tasted delicious. Well, to make this custard, you see, this is a sort of story. It has nothing to do with any topic that we're going to talk about today. But to make the custard, I had to use 4 egg yolks. But I got these egg whites. What could I do with 4 egg whites except make meringue? So I made individual meringues, and I have my neighbors next door, their daughter and 2 young children. Not the daughter's children, but anyway, 2 young children that are staying there. And a couple of weeks ago, I made them a big chocolate cake to share. So I thought, what can I make with these meringues? So I made them individual chocolate meringues. Oh gosh, were they delicious. And yes, I did take a picture, and yes, I will be showing you probably on YouTube at some point how to make them. So simple, so easy, and so scrumptious and very decadent with chocolate poured all over the top. So I did that yesterday. So this morning, what have I been doing this morning? This morning I had a consultation with a couple who came from a very great distance to come and see me because they lost their son. Well, of course I knew they were coming, and of course I knew that they'd lost a child, and I was spent last night and this morning before they got here looking to see if I could get a glimpse of anyone who wanted to speak to me in the spirit world, and nothing. Well, you know, children, to lose a child is the worst, I think, the worst loss that anyone should have to bear. So it's very important to me that, you know, we do the best we can. And luckily, we had a great session. They were here for a long time because their son did not want to stop talking. And he was very young when he passed, 8 years old, I think he was. And he died very traumatically, very tragically in a fire. And so you can imagine my morning's been a bit traumatic. They only left about less than half an hour ago. Carol and I have just had a quick chicken salad on a crisp bread, I'm telling you. And here we go again. So we're a little bit I'm a little bit out of breath. I don't know what Carolyn's been doing. For all I know, she's been twiddling her thumbs and doing nothing at all this morning. What have you been doing this morning?
Answering emails.
Da-da-da.
Reminding everybody we're on a different day today.
Da-da-da. So, all right. What is our topic today? I think the topic is whatever questions we've got. How about that? So do we have anyone live? I'm so sorry to all of you who usually have set aside a Thursday morning, and here we are and it's Tuesday afternoon. So I'm so sorry about that, but we'll be, as soon as I come back from New York, we'll be back to our consistent selves. But in the meantime, do we have anyone live?
We have 15 people left.
Oh,
with
all right
then. 2 new viewers.
All right then. Well, that's a surprise. Hello, everyone. Then
Tanya and Lisa, welcome to the show.
Connie and Lisa. Hello,
No,
Connie.
Tanya.
Oh, Tanya. Well, hello, Tanya, and hello, Lisa, and we hope you're going to have a fun time. And of course, we're waiting for questions. All right, so
You might want to let them know that you don't do on-air readings, because you don't even call them readings.
Thank you. No, I do not. It's impossible for me to, I mean, we do actually from time to time give messages from the spirit world to people who ask a question. It's been known to happen. In fact, it's been known to happen more than a few times. But the purpose of our YouTube channel is to encourage people to ask questions about the spirit world, to ask questions and to be inspired and to gain perhaps some knowledge that they didn't have before. But the purpose is not for me to give messages, because, I'm not going to be that irresponsible. And I think it's irresponsible to just, off the top of my head, give a message here, there and everywhere, apart from the fact it wouldn't be real now, would it? I would be just making it up as I go along. Having said that, there are some times when Grey Eagle will step in and he will give us something, and he will give us a message, perhaps when he feels it necessary. If you do want a consultation, just email us, rosemary@rosemaryantaltea.com, and you'll email and Carolyn will reply and we'll set up an appointment for you. That's how it works. And yes, I don't read people, just FYI. I don't read people. I consult with, talk with those in the spirit world, which is a very different thing. And I think that was a topic for last week. So anyone who wants to know the difference between reading someone and, having a consult with someone, just check in last week's YouTube and all the others, of course, because there's a lot to learn in our YouTube programs. All right, so
we're going to go to a question that somebody had written in previously, because you actually received two letters very similar this week.
All right.
This one, I believe, is from Nikki.
Okay.
And she says, I have lost 3 of my family members in the recent years, and my life is getting unbearable with me losing my job 6 months ago.
Oh.
My husband has dementia and liver cancer and other health issues, and I'm caring for him. I am in despair and losing all strength to continue on despite praying all the time to God, and lost family members. What can I do to restore my faith? And will I have a life without so much stress?
And who is this?
I believe it's Nikki.
Nikki. I'm so sorry, Nikki, and it's awful to hear, that you're having such a tough time. I do know what it's like to sort of, I've never actually lost faith. This is a weird thing, because I've been in many situations when I've lost faith, but I've never lost faith in God. I've never, ever not believed that there was a higher power. I don't know what it is about me, because there's certainly been instances in my life when I could easily have lost faith in God, but I never have. What I have lost faith in, and I suspect you might have lost faith in also, is you lose faith in yourself, and you lose faith in your ability to manage and to deal with what life throws at you. And so, darling, just know that we're with you, and we're anytime, just please email us and let us know how you're doing, because we're always here, both Carolyn, myself, Grey Eagle, all of us, my whole team and I, we're all here for you. If you need a little bit of help and support, to know that you're simply not on your own. I do feel that you are strong enough to cope. I'm not sure what you can do except just keep on doing what you're doing. Hold on, holding on. Sometimes life throws us lemons, and sometimes it's really hard when somebody will say, just make lemonade out of those lemons, because you don't want to. Why would you want to? Because life is so awful sometimes. You can't be bothered. You just don't want to be bothered. But I have a feeling that you've got a little strength in you, and I think you'll manage perfectly. And I think at some point down the road, even if that lemonade needs a bit more sugar in it, it's a bit sour to drink, I think you'll have the strength to, it's losing faith in ourselves that is the hardest thing. And if I can just say, I have faith in you, and God has faith in you, and if you can remember and say to yourself on a daily basis, you know, God has faith in me. Even when I lose faith in myself, God has faith in me. Use it as your mantra, and that will eventually, it might take a little while, but that will eventually bring you back on your feet. Okay, next question, shall we? I know Carolyn's busy here typing away. I don't know what she's typing away. I know she's typing away to try and answer some of your questions,
Yes.
but let's go here. Let's have another question, shall we?
Yes. What can the spirit world tell me about the unrest going on in my life? Is a question from Marty.
Well, Marty, I don't know what they can tell you. And again, I'm going to say, I can't off the top of my head, but, answer that specifically for you. But what I can tell you is this. All of us, I mean, this is the reason we come to this earth, we come here to learn, we come here to grow. And sometimes those lessons are easy lessons, and sometimes they are almost, not quite, but they're almost impossible, or they feel almost impossible to answer. Turmoil, angst, trauma, the word trauma, if you look the word trauma up in the dictionary, the word trauma simply means change. And sometimes we see change as, as for the worst. But so often, even if it's an awful change, or a change we don't want, or a change we're fighting against, then that change is often something that forces us or pushes us into doing something different, into moving forward with something different in our lives. And that trauma, that change will often, it's my neighbor there. Sorry, we've got someone coming to the door. It is a live show. Hello. Sorry. So trauma, sometimes trauma and heartache is that thing that motivates us and moves us forward and moves us into making something better and something different of our lives, something more positive of our lives. My neighbor brought back the tub that I took her meringues in. How about that? All right. So shall we have our next question then?
Yes, Dean.
Hi,
Wonderful
Dean. It's Tuesday afternoon. How are you managing?
He's eating lunch.
Oh boy, we had a quick one, didn't we, today?
Yes. He'd like to know if people in the spirit world create their old homes or familiar surroundings to stay in when they pass over.
Oh, that's an interesting thing. You mean familiarity? I think that the thing that is familiar when we leave this earth and we go to wherever it is we go to, I think the familiarity is the family that we meet, the people who greet us, the people who welcome us. I had a question this morning from the couple who came because they'd lost their son, and the father said to me, well, if we don't die for another sort of 40 years or something, how will he know us? Or how will we know him when he's 50? If we're 80, how will we know him? How will we recognize him? And the interesting thing about that is that those in the spirit world will come to us and they will visit us, especially our children. They will come to us and they will visit with us in our dreams. So even though we think we're not seeing them, we are meeting with them on a regular basis. We still stay in touch with them through our dream state, through our sleep state. We still see them, we still connect with them, and we will know them instantly when we meet with them again. So because he asked that question because his son was telling him how he was growing. He has 3 sisters who are still on this earth plane, and he's growing and he's learning with them and helping them, so he's growing and learning with them. Not all children grow. I don't know, I'm not all knowing and all seeing as many people think I am. I don't know all of the answers to everything, and I don't know quite why some children choose not to grow and others do. But it is my experience that when kids have their siblings who are still here, they'll grow with them, they'll learn with them, they play with them, they go to school with them, they do all those things together even though someone's in the spirit world, they're still able. For instance, this morning, the family had a new kitten, and the boy was describing how he was with his sisters and playing with the kitten and stroking the kitten. So they're still a part of our lives, and they still grow. And I think if they have siblings, children who pass into the spirit world, seem to me to grow or want to grow with their siblings and experience with their siblings what their siblings are experiencing. So familiarity is in knowing people and being aware of the people who welcome us in the spirit world, I think much more so than knowing the environment. Having said that, there is also familiarity, because don't forget, we were there before this life, so we do know it, we do recognize it when we're back there again. And it is often the way. I have a lot of people in the spirit world who will say to me that we've come home. So that, you know, home is that familiar place. Which is, you know, that's interesting too. I know that every time I answer a question, there are 10 more questions ready to be asked. Next question, please.
The next question, got a little note from a viewer. You look absolutely lovely, Rosemary.
Oh, well,
this is from the Silver Fox. That's what we're calling her.
Okay, then. Thank you.
She said to tell you that I have been very awesome on the emails, and thank you both so much.
You, Carolyn, have been awesome on the emails. Yes, well, she is, isn't she? She's awesome. She is very sensitive and very aware. We were laughing because after this session this morning, which was a long one, I mean, 2.5, 3 hours, I think they were here, right? They came early, yes, and they left late. How about that? When it's a child you're talking to in the spirit world, who's going to say, okay, time's up? I'm not going to say time's up. If I've got the time, I'll spend as much time as I possibly can with them. So they were here for a good 3 hours. I had a 3-hour session. All right. During that time, when we finished, and I was talking to Carolyn as we were throwing our lunch quickly down our throats. We were laughing because Carolyn was saying, you know, when you listen to something, for instance, she's here and she's not involved, she's not in the same room with us, but she's just around the corner, she can hear everything that's being said. Who cannot not believe if everyone were privy to what we were privy to this morning? How can you not believe when a young 8-year-old, now 13-year-old, comes to tell his parents all kinds of fabulous and wonderful things? Next question, shall we?
Yes, the next question is for Tanya.
Yeah, hello,
She's
Tanya.
She's asking, is it possible for nobody to come through when you go see a psychic? And why is that?
Well, okay, I think we talked about this last week. Okay, Tanya.
She's a new
Tanya, you got to catch up. You need to go and check. I think you'll enjoy them too, darling. I think if you go back and look at the other programs that we've done for YouTube or on YouTube, you'll see there's a whole host of topics. And last week we did talk about the difference between being a psychic and being a medium. A medium is someone who does not need any tools to, don't give me your mother's ring. I don't need to know anything about anything. We're not using cards. We're not using crystals. A medium is someone who will talk directly one-on-one, which is why we don't call them readings. We're not reading anyone. We're not reading anybody's aura. We're not reading anybody's energy. We're simply talking one-on-one to people in the spirit world. This young boy I saw today, I saw him, yes, in his etheric body, same shape. Well, actually, he'd grown a bit. He told me he got longer legs and longer arms, so he'd grown quite a bit, which pleased his father no end, I have to tell you. But there's a huge difference. If people, it's unusual that somebody, if you're going to a medium and not a psychic, all right, if you go to a medium and she sees nothing at all, or he sees nothing at all, that would be very surprising to me. If I see no one in the spirit world connected to you, I'm still talking to my spirit guide, Grey Eagle, and he's still able to help and advise. So, for me, there's always someone. So, you know, I would say if you've gone to see someone who says there's no one for you, I would guess it's because it's not that people aren't there for you, darling. It's because that person who you've gone to see can't see. Wait a minute, that was very odd. Very.
She did type in and say she says she was a medium.
Well, she might say she was a medium, and she might be, and she might not be. Please be skeptical, all of you. Please don't be afraid to be skeptical. You know, there's nothing wrong with being skeptical. And in fact, it's very healthy. Just because someone says they are something doesn't mean they are. You know, okay, so I'm not trying to disparage anyone, and I'm not saying she wasn't a medium. I'm just saying, for me, I can only speak for me. I can't speak for anyone else. But I've never, ever not seen anyone. And there's always someone in the spirit world who wants to talk to us. And it may well be, and there are days, I have off days. I might not see the person you want to speak to, but I'll always see someone. For instance, I will always see my spirit guide. So I'll always be able to give some information, even if that information is, I can't see them. I'm not doing well today. I can't see them. So don't give up on those in the spirit world. It's not because they're not there, and it's not because they don't love you, and it's not because they don't want to be there for you. It's because the person who is trying to connect with them can't, for whatever reason, maybe they're just having an off day. They can't connect with them on that day. But it's not that they're not there, because I can guarantee that they are. Okay, next question.
We've got the Silver Fox asks, is it just mediums who have guides, or do we all have guides?
I think again we did do a session on that. Go check on YouTube. We all have our angels, and we all have our loved ones in the spirit world who help and guide us. And in fact, the young boy I spoke to this morning told us that he would be his sister's angel, which of course he's not an angel, and he was very clear to make it plain he was not an angel, and he's not perfect in any way. But as far as his sisters are concerned, he would be their angel, their guide, their helper. A spirit guide is very different. A spirit guide, someone will only have a spirit guide. Sorry, my snuffling dog is in the background here. Someone will only have a spirit guide if they work in the spiritual realm, because a spirit guide will only work with someone who works with them, usually on a full-time basis. There are a lot of misconceptions about spirit guides. The majority of us will have certainly our angels, and certainly those who guide us and who steer us. But the majority of us, those who guide us and who steer us, just as important and just as valuable, in fact, perhaps even more so very often than spirit guide. Sorry to Greg when I say that, but someone who loves us and we love, or we care about, or we are tied to in a family, by family, is very important to have someone like that who steers us and who guides us. But it's family. Don't mistake a spirit guide from a family member who guides and steers us. All right, if you need to know more, I think we do an hour's topic on that. You're going to have to scroll through my YouTube channel to find it. Don't forget again to subscribe, please, because at some point in the next month or two, we are going to be devising another competition where the result we don't know quite what the prizes are yet, but there were good prizes last year, I can tell you. And we're going to be doing that again, but you're only able to join in this competition if you subscribe. So please subscribe and encourage all your friends to subscribe. Let's have our next question.
The next question is from Albertine.
Hello, Albertine.
What can the spirit world tell us about the ley lines?
Ley lines. Well, I love this topic. I know quite a bit about ley lines. I don't know everything, but I do know quite a bit about ley lines. What are ley lines? I mean, people have weird conceptions about what ley lines are, but ley lines are simply lines of energy which sort of literally encircle the earth, literally encircle the planet. If you can think of the planet, all right, round, pretty much round, a sphere, a ley line is an energy force, a line, it's literally a line of energy that goes around the universe. And these ley lines, there are many, many, many of them, and they go around, they cross, they intersect, they run parallel with each other. The entire earth is filled with ley lines. Years and years ago, you know, in ancient times, when they used to build their churches, they would have somebody like what do you call it, a dowser, or somebody would come along and they would check to see where the energy lines of the earth run, because they would never ever build a church or a holy place that went across a ley line. They would always make sure that they built the church running alongside of a ley line, or even away from the ley line. They would never cross it, they would never intersect it, because remember, I just explained to you, a ley line is a line of power, a line of energy that runs. When you put something across it, you're going to disturb the energy, you're going to disturb that. And that's what causes disharmony in that particular area. Now, there are areas where people build, and they'll build whatever, whenever, and however, and they won't take, and nobody ever checks these days as to see where ley lines are, where those energy fields are. Nobody ever checks to see where they are, and consequently, people are building across ley lines everywhere, all over the earth, everywhere, disregarding any interruptions, disregarding any disruption of power or energy, which could be one reason why this earth of ours is in such trauma and chaos, because, you know, those beautiful ley lines, those power lines, those energy lines are being disturbed and disrupted and ignored continually over and over again. There are certain places where you can go, for instance, you can go into a where there's a group of houses, a new housing estate, for instance, where people build lots of houses, and you hear of all sorts of, you know, people getting sick, people who, you know, people are unhappy, people are miserable because, you know, for whatever reason, their energy is disturbed, and they're living across these incredible energy lines, these incredible forces of energy which have been disturbed and disrupted, which then translates into disturbed and disrupted energy that many of us are living on and being, and we're absorbing that energy. There's a particular place in England where years and years ago, a lot of people were, children particularly susceptible, and they were dying of cancer, and it was discovered that there was a specific area where that, you know, houses were built, and there was some sort of gaseous substance that was coming from the earth which was affecting and being absorbed by these children and causing kids to get cancer. It's proven, it's all over the world. I mean, you check it out for yourselves. You know, now we can find anything, can't we, on Google? You just check it out yourself and you can see yourself. So when I'm buying a new house, when I'm looking for a new property, I'm always aware to check the energy of the house that I'm looking at or where I'm going to be living. Again, I'm going to explain. Years and years ago, in ancient times, all of the abbeys, the monasteries that they built, all of these beautiful religious places, not one of them crosses a ley line. That's all over the world. This is abbeys, churches, cathedrals, you name it. Not one of them is built going across a ley line. You disturb a ley line, it's called a ley line because it lays, usually, you know, and as I say, they can cross each other and they can run parallel. I don't know if they cross each other. Sometimes they cross each other, and that's a spot which is disturbed energy. Sometimes they cross and they meld together and it's good energy. You know, when people do dowsing and they're checking for water, they're looking for the energy, they're being driven by energy. Everything about this planet of ours is energy. Everything about the universe is energy. And so ley lines, particular interest of mine, ley lines, you know, when you go out and you're looking for a new house, or you're looking for a place to just sit and meditate, or you're, you know, you want to go have a picnic somewhere, you know, just check with yourself how it feels to you, what it feels like, what, when you look for a certain area to be by yourself or to meditate or whatever it is you're doing, or when you're looking for a place, especially when you're looking for a place to live. Check out the energy, because you will know if you pay attention to what's going on with you, and if you pay attention to your soul and connecting with your soul, you will know if it's good energy or if it's not good energy. And someone who is more sensitive and more aware of this stuff, I, for instance, I'm one of those people, and there are lots of us who can do this and can check this out. There are so many of us who can, you just instinctively will feel it. This is not a good place, or there's a lot of disruption of energy here. Stay away from that place. Stay away from that disruption of energy. And especially when you're buying a house, especially then. I had a house, the house next door to me, built on the same piece of land. Actually, we were sort of not so close, but close enough. And there was not one person who lived in that house who was happy. Not one single person who lived in there was happy. And there was not one single person who lived in my house who was also happy. Divorce, sickness, etc., etc. And there was definitely something about that property and that land that caused a lot of disruption and disturbance of energy, detrimental energy. All right, let's have our next question. Did that raise any questions?
Well, yes, it did. Yes, it did. Tinfoil Hatter would like to know who made them, these lines. How
nobody. Well, you could say God.
Well, they said a map of these supposed ley lines would be interesting. Who made them and how?
Well, you know, they're just as the Earth was created by energy. By energy, then these lines were also created by energy. I don't, you know, we could say God made them, because, you know, God, whoever it is, that incredible force, God force, created the universe and all the rest of it. And so as the Earth was created, certain energies were built into that naturally. And ley lines are a natural energy source. They are a natural source of us. You know, they're amazing, because, you know, they are amazing because if you find a ley line and you walk by a ley line, and you can't, so unfortunately you can't see them, you can only feel them. But if you walk, for instance, by a ley line, the peace and the harmony and the, you know, but if you walk where there is disruption to that ley line, if you're sensitive enough, you will feel it. There are people who haven't. You may well, if you Google it, we should try and Google it because we haven't Googled it. You may well find that someone has, in fact, Googled, has created a map of ley lines. Would I trust the map? No, I am the most skeptical person. You all know this, those of you who have been talking to me for so long. You all know that I'm the most skeptical person ever. Would I totally say, oh, this is where they are? No. Would I check it out? I'd love to. You know, I'm not saying that any map of ley lines you find is not a good map. I'm saying, am I going to accept it as this is real, this is a given? No, because I don't know the person who decided to draw this map out, or how much information they've got, or how much knowledge they've got. But would I take this map and go check them out myself? Without a doubt, and I'd have a fun time doing it too. So that's just, you know, that's a good question. But who made ley lines? God made the universe. Then we're going to point the finger at God. How about that?
Everybody's
that's God, of course. Really? Okay then. ley lines are so interesting, and dowsing is also interesting. If you've ever done dowsing, I taught my students, you know, for years and years. I would get them to get, you know, sticks, and I can't remember now what it was, hawthorn sticks or something like that. I can't remember now, but anyway, Google that as well. What do you need to dowsing? We use the pendulum and we use sticks. I can remember once my property in Vermont it was huge property, 70 acres of woodland and all the rest of it. And there was a time when I got all my students out with their sticks and, you know, dowsing for water. Or you don't have to just douse for water. You could douse for metal. You could douse, you know, if you're smart about it and you know what you're doing with dowsing. I only know a little bit, but if you wanted to do more, the length of the string that you use for your pendulum can make a difference to whether you find gold or silver. It's a whole science into itself. But this earth of ours holds huge, huge, huge mysteries, and all we have to do is go and explore to tap into some of them, and to have fun doing it as well. Right.
A couple of people are asking, did you watch the eclipse yesterday?
Well, yes. Carolyn and I went outside. We saw nothing because we didn't have glasses. We didn't have a shadow box. Who knew you needed that stuff? I thought it was going to get at least a bit dark, and it got nothing at all for us.
Not really.
No. But as I say, but even having said that, all right, the energy was great yesterday. And this morning it's great. So, you know.
Which brings us to the question. Yes. I had this also.
Okay.
And so right. Somebody just wrote in.
No, go ahead.
Did the eclipse affect the spirit world?
It didn't affect. I'm not sure it affects. It's energy. Energy affects us, all of us, good or bad, positive or negative. I mean, energy does affect us. And this universe of ours is pure energy, different types of energy. It certainly didn't affect anyone this morning. I mean, I was talking to several people in the spirit world this morning, and including this young boy, and I have to tell you, they never even mentioned it. So, no, I don't think, you know, I think it's something, you know, pertaining to this earth of ours. You know, I think it's an incredible thing. I think the universe is incredible, and this earth of ours is an amazing, amazing treasure that none of us bother to really explore. Very few of us bother to really explore in full. But no, I don't. You know, you know, did it change things majorly? Not for me. I don't know if it did for you, but it didn't for me. I know that there are people who think, you know, when something like this happens, the end of the world is coming and all the rest of it. Well, we're still here, thank goodness. I think. Are we here? Do you think we're here? Or do you think we're dreaming? Who knows whether we're really here or not? I'm just teasing. It didn't affect me, and it hasn't affected those in the spirit world that I've spoken to since the eclipse, before or after. All right, next question.
We've got Lisa. This is her first time here.
Hi, Lisa.
And she says, my 19-year-old son passed 3 years ago. I've left his room just as he left it. Does spirit think this behavior is ridiculous? It's his things.
Well, I'm going to say, first of all, I never refer to them as spirit. They're people in the spirit world. And I always try to pay attention to that. They're not wispy bits of nothing floating around. As I said to you, I was talking to this man this morning about his son. Yes, have his legs grown longer? Absolutely. Does he look sort of very gangly and a little bit like a colt, a newborn colt, trying to sort of get his arms and legs together? A little bit like that. I never ever refer to spirit. I refer to people in the spirit world, or those in the spirit world. I totally understand, Lisa, completely understand why you would keep the room exactly how your son left it. Of course. Why wouldn't you? And if you can, then why wouldn't you? Then you should, if it makes you feel better. Is anyone in the spirit world thinking that you're ridiculous? I'm asking my spirit guide Gregel, there's a resounding no from everyone who I can hear and see. My guide tells me that this was a very traumatic event for you. Obviously, I'm saying something that's very obvious. And if keeping his room the same way gives you comfort and helps you to, you know, to sort of helps you with your grief, then that's exactly what you should do. And nobody is saying that you should, nobody that I'm talking to is saying that you should do anything other than that. You must do what makes you comfortable. There may be a time in the future that you will have to move. There may be a time when you need that bedroom for something else. When that time comes, that means that you will be ready to let go a little bit. Not of him, because you're never going to let go of him, and he's always going to be around you, darling. You know that, and he's always going to be there for you. But and actually, I think in better health too. I don't know why I'm saying that to you, but that's what Gregor tells me to tell you. So I'm always listening to him. But you know, letting go, when I talk about letting go, I'm not talking about you letting go of your son, because he won't let you let go of him, because he's not going to let go of you either. But letting go a little bit of the grief and coming to terms with the fact that he is with you, you know, and I think you know that. He is with you, he is around you. And when you can sort of more fully embrace that, nobody's pushing you here, and nor should you be pushed, but when you're ready to embrace that fact, then you'll be ready to maybe change the room a little bit, or to, I don't know, to move it around without feeling the heart rate that you do right now. I'm so sorry for your loss, and if we can help, email us, Rosemary Altea. If you've got any other questions, darling, we'll do our best to help you if we can. And in the meantime, just know and just understand that I'm pretty sure he's safe and well and where he should be. Again, it brings me to this, and again, we talked about this morning. You know, sometimes people pass either due to an accident or what have you, and you know, and people point the finger and say it's their fault this happened, or if they hadn't done this or said that, this wouldn't have happened. Especially with people who commit suicide, you know, they say, you know, well, this shouldn't have happened, or if I'd have only done this, or if I've only said that. And Lisa, I'm speaking to you on this score as well, because there's really nothing, darling, that you could have done to prevent this from happening, because it's not us who decide, it's God who decides. And when God calls us home, we got no choice, whether we deem it an accident, or whether it's, you know, even when somebody kills a person, you know, you could turn around and say, well, he was in the, you know, the wrong place at the wrong time. And I would say, no, he's in the right place at the right time, because it's his time to go home. There's time for us to be born. And I've told you all before, yes, I gave my daughter my grandson's date, day, time, to the second, the exact time that my grandson was going to be born. There is a time for us to be born, and there is a time for us to pass into the spirit world. And no matter what, it was his time, darling. And so I hope you take a little comfort from that. And for all of you out there who've lost somebody special to you, we can't go before our time. It just won't happen. When God calls, we don't have a choice. We go home.
We've got a question from Martha.
Hello, Martha.
She says, my sister passed in her house unexpectedly. The new owner could see her spirit. Why do you think she didn't cross over right away? Her shower would go on its own. And why was she a restless soul? Now, before you answer that, we had somebody comment, ghosts should not be able to turn a faucet on. How can this happen? I don't think they meant to offend Martha, but they may have. So.
Oh, all right. Well, wait a minute. Hold on. Then can we get the question again? Martha's sister
passed unexpectedly,
and is supposedly haunting her old house, who someone else now lives in, and she's also, the sister has been
restless. Yeah, turning on faucets.
And who says that she's been restless is what I want to know.
Martha is saying that.
Turning on her shower
No,
or the new owners?
the
And if
new
it's the new,
owner.
well, how would the new owner? Does she talk to the new owner? Does she know the
I
new
don't
owner? Okay, well, you know, that's, you see, I'm so skeptical, Martha. I have to ask these questions. So I'm not skeptical of you and your story, but I'm skeptical of anything, you know, because it's so easy for us to point the finger at someone in the spirit world and say it's their fault if they're doing this. All right, if this person, if you believe that this person has actually seen your sister's ghost, spirit, whatever you want to call it, if you believe that, you see, I don't know, and I'm skeptical, so I'd have to question, well, did they or didn't they really? But if your sister has visited her old house, that doesn't mean that she hasn't passed over, because when we pass into the spirit world, it doesn't stop us from being able to travel here, there, and everywhere. It may be that your sister, I'm just saying, it may be that your sister was curious about what the new owner was doing and how the new owner was taking care of her house. It could have been that. And so she just popped in to see what was going on. That has happened many, many, many times. It does not mean that her passing was restricted in any way. It simply means that your sister may or may not have wanted to visit the old house just to check it out. Now, can people in the spirit world turn faucets, taps, whatever you want to call them? Can they do stuff? Of course they can. Energy is everything. Think it. That tiny pulse of energy can go out there, and if we concentrate enough, we can do it. We can, you know, easily do it. So someone in the spirit world, they can, you know, if they want to play about, we hear of poltergeists all the time playing about, doing all sorts of weird and wonderful things. But yes, you know, people in the spirit world, they, you know, for whoever the person is who didn't think that they could do these things, there are stranger things that can happen. And we know, and I know personally, I'm thinking of one instance where my daughter, a teenager, was in her bedroom sound asleep, and she'd left her hairdryer plugged in on the floor, as teenagers do, didn't put it back, but it wasn't switched on. It was just plugged into the outlet, but it wasn't switched on. And I woke up in the middle of the night, and the thing was going full force, and really loud enough to wake me up. And you know, as I rushed into the room, my daughter was still sound asleep, teenager thing, you know, still sound asleep. Of course the spirit world can do all sorts of things, but what they are doing, I should say, is trying to make us aware of the fact that they're around, that they, you know, that they didn't die, and that they're still around you, and trying to send you a message. It's okay, I'm okay. So Martha, if you're worried about your sister, if you're concerned that she, you know, she's having a struggle passing over, or that she didn't actually pass over, or that she's earthbound in any way, if I could just reassure you by telling you, Gregor has squeezed my shoulder, as he does when he wants to say something, and I can assure you your family are safe and well in the spirit world and had no problem whatsoever. So I hope that makes you feel a bit better. So if you are getting these little signs and signals, and the shower going off or a light bulb popping, I had my TV going on and off a few weeks ago. I knew exactly who it was. If you ask them to stop, firmly ask them to stop, they will. But they're just trying to get us to notice them. That's what they're trying to do. And they try and get us to notice them if they know that we are worried about how they're doing. And they'll do anything they possibly can to show us that they're okay. So that's what's going on there. Hope that makes you feel better, Martha. Next question.
We had a lady who wrote in. She's moving into a new home and was wondering if you had any new home blessings.
Well, you know, the Native Americans are great ones for smudging. Smudging means... if I get this wrong, please, all of you out there who know better than I, please forgive me, but smudging is basically taking a stick of sage, or even a bunch of sage. You can do it with a bunch of sage and put in a bowl and light it, and you smoke. And the smoke, they call it smudging, and the smoke is supposedly gets rid of any sort of negative energy that is in the house, and it sort of creates a wonderful and a pleasing and a a very powerful, happy, healthy energy. So yes, there are lots of ways that we can do blessings on houses, and I think if you email me, darling, we'll send you what I would, and I could even, if I could even maybe on one of our YouTube sessions give out some blessings for new houses, new babies, new everything actually, and even old everything. There are blessings for when people pass. There are blessings for when babies are born. It's simply a prayer, and it's just asking God and asking the universe to bring its good energy and to bless the house and to bless the property and to bring in only good energy, light and love, health and well-being is what I would ask for. And I would send that prayer up into the universe and just trust that the universe knows what it is that you want. If you want to get some sage and light it, please don't set the place on fire. I was in Italy once and I almost set the house on fire in Italy, sort of lighting sage, because I wanted to bless the house that I was in, and there was a church that we were going to do a blessing on, and I did take some sage and bless a church there and did try to do a cleansing ritual. I follow Grey Eagle in that because he is Native American and he guides me in those areas. So yes, we can certainly send a blessing for you, darling. We certainly do a blessing for you if you'd like one. All right, next question.
The next question was one that I had thought of, and I know.
You know what you stopped doing? You stopped asking me, is there something personal that I want to say?
Yes,
and I shouldn't have reminded you of that now, should I? But anyway, let's go for it now. Let's see.
We ended up rewording this question, but my original question to you was, if someone chooses to live another life after they've passed, are they able to visit loved ones as the person they were before? And you had to ask Grey Eagle about that, so I was totally interested.
It's a very curious. It's a long answer. If someone dies, passes to the spirit world, because we don't really believe in death, but we use the word dies so we all know what we're talking about. So if somebody dies and they go wherever they go, and then they decide to, what you're saying is they decide to reincarnate. They come back to this earth in another body, in another life. That's what you're asking, right? If they decide to do that, can they still connect with their previous life's loved ones? So, all right, very complicated, this question. So I did ask Grey Eagle this question, and his answer is the soul is the soul is the soul. The soul always is able to connect. Just know that the soul never loses its place. It always keeps its memories. It always knows what lives or life. You see, I think we only have one life, and that life is just continual on and on and on. Whether or not you're in another body when you come back and reincarnate and you come back here and do this all over again, your soul is your soul is your soul, and so it will connect with the souls of those in its past who that soul has loved and connected with. This is not answering your question. It's way too long an answer. Yes.
Well, you had used the example of, when somebody gets divorced and somebody says, oh, that person's totally different than how they used to be.
Right. Well, yes. Yes. So, sometimes we try to connect with someone in the spirit world and they'll come through to talk to us, but we won't necessarily recognize them. We'll say, yeah, but that's not their personality. Or we'll say, yes, but that wasn't them because they're too quiet or they're too this or that. Well, your environment dictates. If you were brought up, for instance, in a household full of females and you're the male and they take over everything, you might end up to be a very quiet man, very quiet and very subdued. If you were that same man brought up in a household where, he was encouraged by his parents to be gregarious and outgoing, that's what he would be. a man who is one thing, or a woman who is one thing to one husband, can be completely different to another, because each individual brings out our different traits and personalities. And in the same way, if we reincarnate, if we came into another life, that other life we're in a different environment, we're with different people, we are encouraged to develop different of those character traits. So it might seem to be a completely different person. However, I'm going to say again, the soul is the soul is the soul. The soul will always recognize and remember. I'm not sure where we're going with that.
No, give me kudos. Great question, Carolyn. I've wondered the same.
Who's this?
Dean.
I'm giving you kudos. I always. Very, very good question, but a very complex and complicated answer.
We've got some complex and complicated questions today.
All right.
Is the spirit world parallel to the Akashic records? And I can never say that. The AKASHIC. The Ashtic records.
Is it the Aztecs?
Akashic records?
Aztec? Oh, well.
Yeah.
No. What's the question again?
Is the spirit world parallel to the Akashic records?
No. Whatever it is. If you would like to describe, whoever's answering this question, if you'd like to say, because Karen can't say it, I can't see it because I'm not looking at the same screen as she is, but if you'd like to describe what it is you're talking about, I'll be able to answer your question. How's that?
I know I've heard that expression before. Okay, well, tinfoil hater, is saying.
I thought it was Hatter.
No, it's hater. Tinfoil hater.
I so like using tinfoil. I'm so sorry to tell you this. I am a cook. I don't know what I'd do without it. No, yes?
So they're saying, so believing is essentially everything. The actual smoke, as far as cleansing a home, might not matter that much, but just the intention of using it.
That's right. Although the Native Americans and many people, and even I today, believe that there are plants that have certain energy. There are plants and animals and all sorts of things on this earth that have a certain energy. And sage is supposedly a good plant, a good, that has good energy. And so when they burn it and they use the smoke and so on and so forth, you're getting the energy from the plant as well as the energy from the person. Do you need it? No, you don't need it, but it's a nice thing to have and it smells great. But it is a good thing to have. But if you believe that sage is doing what, you hope, if you believe that sage is cleansing, that is the crux of it. It's your belief, your energy, which gives power to that, gives more power to that sage. So I actually do like using sage from time to time. It's just a fun thing to do. And it's not only fun, it's also, sort of enhances what you're trying to do. Is it necessary? No, you don't have to do that. No, you just have to put out your good energy, your powerful energy into the universe. But when you're putting it out there, remember what you're doing. Every time you reach out into the universe, you're opening a door. So you have to, number one, protect yourself. Dear God, allow me your protection. Allow me your guidance in this endeavor. Please protect me. Please allow only positive energy. And so you always say the protective prayer, whatever you're doing, whenever you're connecting with the universe, because you open doors. So you make sure that you protect yourself by asking for God's help, his energy and his safekeeping. And then you put out to the universe what it is you want. And you put it out there with positivity, no negativity. If there is even slight negativity in what you're doing, you're going to, like attracts like. When you send out positivity, positivity comes back. When you send out negativity, negativity comes back. So always try and remember, that you have to send out this positive, powerful prayer It's simply a prayer. You're asking the universe, you're asking God, you're asking all of your loved ones in the spirit world to please bless this house for you. So you don't need someone to come and bless it for you. Having said that, there are, if you believe that I, for instance, might have just a little bit more energy, a little bit more power, a little bit more know-how, and you'd like to use that, then why not? Why not use it? If you believe that you can do this by yourself and you are determined and you have positive energy and you're asking for God's help and guidance, do that. You don't necessarily have to have someone else helping you. But if you are going to have somebody else helping you, it has to be someone who's very positive and who rather knows a little bit about what they're doing.
I know you know the term. I'm just not pronouncing it right.
Because it is the
Akashic energy?
Yes, it's records are all a compendium of human events, thoughts, words, emotions, and intent.
Yeah, well, it's just basically, it's a whole bundle of energy. When that energy, if you look at it like a big bag, all right, or a big book even, if you look at like it's a bag and you open the bag and you go in there, it's got all sorts of information and energy. Does this energy run parallel? No, it doesn't run parallel. It's a part of, it's a combination of, and it's a part of everything that we are and everything that we have been. When I say we, I'm talking about the human race, the planet that we live on, the universe that we're a part of, and that, Akashic energy is all a part of that. It is not something that's separate to, it's something that is part of. And I think, we have to be very careful because, when we look at anything to do with spirituality, there's a desire in us to sort of separate it. Well, we do this or we do that or we do the other. But what we forget, what we fail to remember very often is, that if you're reading the tarot, what you're doing is connecting with this universal energy. If you're reading the crystals, you're doing the same thing. If you're reading tea leaves, you're doing the same thing. If you're talking to the spirit world, you're doing the same thing. Not quite the same, but you know what I'm saying. It's all part and parcel. Nothing can exist without the other. So try not to sort of, separate. Just you could think of the whole thing as a big bag of goodies that we can dive into if you want to, if that's helpful to you.
Time's up, but real quick, it is tinfoil hatter. I'm so sorry.
I thought that, you see, because we had this conversation before, Carolyn. We did.
My eyes go
so
because I have so many things
I want to know,
at once.
the only tinfoil hatter that I know about is in that fantastic movie with Mel Gibson, Aliens, or I don't know, remember what it was even, where they made hats out of tinfoil because they thought that it would protect them from the energy of the aliens. It's a very funny scene, actually. I don't know if that's where Tin Hatter's getting that from, but good for you. Do we have anything else before because guess what? We're out of time here.
I had said, we're going to have to discuss this next week. We're running out of time. And she said, I'll never know why we had to be here in the first place now. She's trying to figure out what our purpose here on Earth is. And so she was saying, well, now I'm not going to know until next week.
Our purpose here is to learn and grow. Isn't that enough for you? Don't you? Do you need more from me than that? All right. Well, this time on Thursday, I should be hopefully about to get off the plane. I'll still be on the plane, but I'll be with my darling boy and my darling daughter. And next week, we're going to try, if we can, to do this on Thursday morning as usual. We're going to try and do it from my daughter's home. We may have my grandson part of this, or we may not. I did ask my daughter if he would be allowed, because she's, rightly so, does not want him necessarily publicly, in public view and display. But somebody's laughing at you.
No, I'm laughing. Somebody just put, is ESP real? Heck yes, it is. But you knew that, didn't you? I can tell.
Wait a minute. Extrasensory perception. That's what ESP means, just so you know. Extrasensory perception. Do I have it? I do. I think I do. All right. So next week and the week after, we're going to be trying to do this from New York City. We're hoping for 3 weeks. We're hoping that we can do it. If for any reason we can't, please bear with us. Please don't desert me. I will be back at some point. Carolyn will let you know when our next session is going to be, so always keep posted on that. If you need us at all, email us rosemary@rosemaryaltea.com. Carolyn will still be here working away, and she'll be answering your emails as and when. If you need us, we're on Facebook. We are on Meetup. Hello, everyone from Meetup. We are on Twitter, and we're going to very soon be on whatever that other is, Instagram. I can't keep up with these things. I'm also going next week. I shall be in Long Island either next week or the week after. I shall be in Long Island. I'm also doing an event, by the way, in a couple of weeks at Soho House in New York City, down in the Village in New York City. If you want to know more about that, please call Soho House and pester them. Don't call us because we can't give you tickets. Only they can. And it's really not a ticketed affair. So call them up and see if you can beg and get to see me. I'd love to see you. Anyone who wants to make it there, just turn up and see what they say to you. All right. I'm not sure what date that is. I think it's Friday night. I think it's the night of whatever holiday that is. What is the holiday? Labor Day weekend. So it's Friday night of the beginning of Labor Day weekend. I shall be in New York City at Soho House. 1st. Even September 1st. There you are then. And so I shall be in Long Island. I'll be working a little bit. I'll be taking consultations there. I'll be doing all sorts of stuff there. And I don't know why I told you that, but I'm telling you that anyway. And then eventually I shall be back in Florida. But I'm going to be having so much fun. My grandson and I, the first thing he's asked me to make is chocolate covered shortbreads, which I make especially for him. They are his favorite, and we're going to be making all sorts of other things. I may be putting them on Facebook. We may be filming. So just keep checking us out. So on Instagram, we will be eventually, when I go to Long Island, my friend Al and I, we're going to be trying to sort out courses, online courses. So we'll let you know more about that. We're also talking about going to, which is I'm looking, Carolyn? Casadega, Florida. We're going to spend a night there in a spooky, spooky hotel. If you want to know more about that, or you want to come along, there's no charge. We'll be there anyway. Just come along. We'll let you know the information as and when we know it. My sister will be here. She's coming for not quite 3 months, and she'll be here and she'll be going with us. So we're hoping to have at least one night in Casadega, and where it's supposed to be the most psychic town in the
world is what it's called,
which it isn't. Just so you know, just for whoever that is who loves me to say just so you know, it is not, just so you know. But we're going to go check it out and have some fun, and we're going to be YouTubing at the same time. So if you want to know more about that, please email us, Rosemary@rosemaryaltea. And in the meantime, until we see you again, please, 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 please have a very, 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 very blessed day.